So I've seen this story, but up until this point, I really haven't cared about it, to be, honest with you. But Dylan Mulvaney, if you don't know who that is, Dylan Mulvaney became famous because he documented his journey of becoming a girl, as he says, on TikTok, starting with day one. And instantly, this blew up overnight. And instantly, he became just extremely famous, extremely clouded up. And it got to the point where Dylan Mulvaney was in the White House as a spokesperson for trans women interviewing President Biden in regards to what he's going to do to protect the rights of trans people moving forward. Now, keep in mind, this is an individual who just in March started their journey of becoming a girl. And now this person is suddenly the spokesperson for all trans women. And a lot of trans women are okay with it. And a lot of, women in general, like natural born women, don't seem to have a problem with it either. And look, to be honest with you, like I said, this story never really appealed to me until I heard something that Dylan said recently, which I'm going to show you. During a TikTok that Dylan made in response to backlash that he was getting as a result of carrying tampons around, although he doesn't even have the parts that would be able to fit a tampon, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I want to play this clip and then I want to have a conversation about it because there's a lot to break down, all right?
Babe, caring for others, it's the bare minimum. You might not like me, but I care about you. I care about your feelings. I care about your opinion of me, which I'm really trying to get over. And the last thing I will say, and this will probably make you feel really good, is that I'm jealous of you. I wish I was born in your body. I wish I had a uterus. My sex assigned at birth was a biological male. Does that make you feel better hearing me say that? It's just not what God had in mind. So here I am. There's probably a lot of women that you don't like to group yourself with, but they're still women. And so am I. And now.
So he said, number one, this whole story, and I don't mean this to be like disrespectful, but I'm genuine when I say this. This whole story is sad. And it is heartbreaking because we have so many people who essentially are confused, who have been told lies. They were manipulated when they were younger. They were potentially groomed when they were younger. And now we have a generation of men who believe that they are women and are now going as far as to say that God had other plans, meaning that when he was born, he was assigned a gender. And this whole like being assigned a gender at birth, can we just come to an agreement that if you have a male part, I'm not going to say it just for the sake of, YouTube and keeping it family friendly. But if you have a male part, then you're a man. If you have a woman part, then you're a woman. That's not being assigned. That it is what it is. God created male and female, and he said that it was good. So to say that you are assigned a certain gender, that being male, and God had other plans, that's false. And it's sad that these people think that. It's sad that we live in a world that not only allows these individuals to believe that they are somebody who they are not, but we actually praise it and we give them a platform. We give them hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, Dylan went from the span of March of this year, day one of being a girl, March of this year, he went from zero to potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars meeting with the president, signing to a major agency in Los Angeles, CAA. He signed to one of the biggest talent agencies in Los Angeles that represents some of the biggest, movie stars and athletes. And just, it's crazy what you can do in this world by living a lie. And it's sad because, this whole conversation that Dylan had with Biden, it's a conversation around, okay, how do we get people, and they're specifically talking about like Republicans and conservatives and religious people. They're saying, how do we get those people to understand that, us as trans people, we're not scary. We're not scary. Because I guess the narrative with, trans people and, people who don't have the same beliefs that I have is that somehow just because I don't agree with that lifestyle, that I'm afraid of that lifestyle. I'm not afraid of that lifestyle. I'm not afraid of trans people. I'm not afraid of trans people. I want them to understand who they actually are, who God created them to be, because check this out. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Now, this is God's words specifically to the prophet Jeremiah, but we can take and extract a deeper understanding of the relationship that God has with us. Because in Jeremiah 1, verse 5, it says, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. So if God knew us before he formed us in our mother's womb, then he knew exactly who we were supposed to be. He knew exactly what he was doing when he made us. God didn't make a mistake. You weren't born and God was like, oops, this one was supposed to be a woman. Ain't nothing I can do about it now. I guess I'll just put this, this seed in their head that, they're supposed to be a woman. And then that way they can, eventually transition and stuff like, no. God doesn't make mistakes. God is the same today, yesterday, in all of eternity. God will be the same. But you know what changes? You know what does make mistakes? You know what is flawed? You know what is wicked and deceptive? This world. This world. Because it's so sad, specifically with Dylan, there's this perception that he has that, people who don't support his lifestyle are afraid of him and that they're transphobic. So by me not supporting this lifestyle, I would be considered transphobic. But here's the thing. That couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is I actually do care. I actually do have love. And that's why I want you to come to the truth, the true knowledge of who you are. But the same people who you think are your supporters, and this is so funny, the same people like Biden who you think is your supporter, the same people like your friends and, potentially the family members that support you, your agency that is making hundreds of thousands of dollars off you, these brands. This dude is getting brand deals like crazy. Those same people who you think are your supporters, who are on your side, who genuinely care about you, are actually the very people who are manipulating you. Those are the very people who are just looking at you as literally a walking bag of money. Because if there wasn't a profit to be made, your doctors, if there wasn't a profit to be made, then I don't think this story would be getting as much media attention as it is. But the fact of the matter is, everyone is eating. Everyone is making money at the expense of Dylan Mulvaney. And he thinks that it's the other way around. He thinks that they genuinely care. But everyone has their own agenda. Biden is trying to get votes. He's trying to reach a different demographic. Now, I personally don't think it's going to work, but this is what he thinks he has to do in order to reach a certain demographic, is to take meetings like this with you. Your doctors, the people that you meet with, your psychologists, your therapists, they see an opportunity as well. They're making money off of you. If you move on and you get surgeries and stuff like that, you're going to be in that medical system for a minute. There's going to be, the potentially a bottom surgery. There's checkups, there's follow-up appointments. You're literally a walking money bag. Your brand deals that you have, you're literally a walking money bag. And at this point, it really makes no sense for Dylan to go back to being a man, because he's benefited so much from a worldly standpoint that once you get the money, once you get the clout, once you get the fame and fortune, how could you tell somebody that what they're doing is wrong when all they value is the approval of this world over the approval of God? At that point, it's like, look, I don't want to say it's too late, but that's when pride develops. And a prideful heart, that's hard to get through to. Just like Pharaoh, he had a heart of stone filled with pride. And even after multiple attempts of God trying to convince Pharaoh otherwise through Moses to let their people go, to let the Israelites go, Pharaoh, after everything, it's like, bro, his heart is so puffed up with pride, no one's going to be able to get through to him. And I think that's what we're going to see with Dylan as well. And it's sad because ultimately, you can't tell me that these people, and when I say these people, like trans people and really just people in general, you can't tell me that people don't want the goodness of God. What I mean by that is to have a family the natural way. To have a family the natural way. To have children, to have, all of the goodness and all the good experiences that God has for us on this earth. You can't tell me that people don't want that, to be genuinely loved for who they are, not who they think they have to be because of experiences that happened when they were younger. But here's the thing, 2 Timothy chapter 3. It says, "You should know this, Timothy, in the last days there will be very difficult times. People will only love themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God." People will only love themselves and their money. The same people that, Dylan thinks is on his side, they only love themselves. They're only in it for their own interest. They're only in it for their own money. But he thinks that they're genuinely on his side. It's not the case. And once again, God doesn't make mistakes. This world makes mistakes. This world changes. In the same way that the world embraced you because you became a girl or a woman or, whatever, the same way that they embraced you is the same way that they'll turn their back on you. It's only a matter of time. So look, I pray that he comes to repentance. I pray that he comes to an understanding of who he actually is and who God actually made him to be. But I don't know. It's just crazy that people would say that, God had other plans when God doesn't make mistakes. God doesn't change. There's not one instance in the Bible where you could say of a story in the Bible where God looked at a man and said, you know what? You should have been a woman. Go on and live as a woman. There's no story in the Bible that you're going to be able to bring to my attention of that nature that exists, because it's just not true. It's not biblical. And people could say, okay, well, you don't bring a God into this. Like, it doesn't have to be that. Well, he brought up God. So that's the reason why I'm talking about God in this context. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of these people, when they say God, they have a different idea of who God is, because God is Jesus, but they have a different perception of who God is. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Because ultimately the solution to everything that we're seeing is Jesus, is God. But a lot of people don't even know who God is in the first place. And that's why we have to continue speaking and spreading the word, spreading the gospel, spreading the good news of who God truly is, in the hopes that, people like this could eventually come to repentance. But hey, it is what it is. This is the world that we live in. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment, join the conversation, like this video if you have not already, subscribe. I'm out.